Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, we're going to be having a ton of fun talking about potential game modes coming into the game, some crazy ideas that people in the community came up with, one or two that I came up with, just a ton of fun limited time modes, because as you guys know, the Playgrounds limited time mode has come out, or is coming out, but that game mode is going to be super fun and inspired me to kind of, put together a list of different limited time modes that could be coming in the future. So yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun, but as always, if you enjoy the video, be sure to smack that like button down below. It always helps me out so much seeing the support on the videos, and I really do appreciate it. Along with that, comment your favorite limited time mode. For me, I think it's probably 50v50. I just have so much fun with that one, especially when you get to take on like a ton of people at once and you come out on top. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say, like which one is the general favorite. But yeah guys, without further ado, let's jump into it here because we do have quite a bit of these to talk about. So let's get into it with number one on the list, and let's start off with an idea. Before we get into any of the leaked ones that are coming up, I want to get into an idea that sounds like so much fun. So this one was suggested by a ton of people. I'm not sure of the original person that suggested it. I've just seen so many ideas about it, but basically it is called the Vault limited time mode. So as you can probably tell from that amazing name, in this game mode, the only items that you would be able to find on the map are ones that were put into the vault, or in other words, aren't in the game anymore or were removed. So I'm talking about items like the smoke grenade, the jetpack, which was just recently removed. I don't know if that one's ever coming back, but I could see it coming for like a game mode like this, like a limited time mode. Along with that, you could also maybe have the shopping carts, which are technically supposed to be coming back, but I mean, they've been having so many issues with those. They can't seem to fix the shopping carts, even though they're so much fun and I didn't really get to use them a ton. But yeah, this game mode would allow you to have all of that stuff come back into one game mode and would make it super interesting. Like as for your weapons that you would use, you'd maybe use like, I don't know, the purple semi-auto shotgun, and then you could also have like the old tactical SMGs or something like that. But it would definitely make for some very unique tactics using the items that most people thought weren't very useful. So I don't know exactly how that would play out, but it does sound like a lot of fun, especially when you would get to use those items again in a game mode that wouldn't really matter towards your stats. But moving on here, let's get into one of the leaked ones I want to talk about, because there are a few coming out in the near future, supposedly. So the first one that sounds pretty interesting, and this one is credit to Two Epic Buddies on Twitter. They always leak some crazy stuff, so big thanks to them. I'll link them down below in the description. But with this one, it seems to be called Score Royale, and it's a different way of winning the game besides being the last person or the last team alive, which sounds pretty odd. So I'm not 100% sure what I think of this one and whether or not I think it's going to be fun or interesting, but Two Epic Buddies was able to find the description for it, and basically it says a brand new take on earning a victory royale. This mode rewards players who like to explore and search for loot. Earn points by opening loot containers, using foraged items, and eliminating other players. The first player to pass the high score threshold wins. So yeah guys, that is the official description of this one, so it's probably going to be coming very, very soon, since of course they obviously have the description for it in the game. But as for the game mode itself, does it sound kind of weird? To me it kind of does. I don't know if I like the idea of winning based on like finding things on the map. Like it definitely would make for some unique gameplay, like you have to switch up your tactics, you're not just trying to be the last person alive. But are we going to see a ton of people like dropping on the edge of the map, maybe dropping like Wailing Woods and just finding shield mushrooms and stuff like that, trying to find places that haven't been looted and just getting points by looting chests and different things along those lines? I'm not 100% sure, but basically it seems like you don't really want to get into gunfights unless the eliminations seem to be the thing that give you like the most points. But then on top of that, there was also a little bit more leaked about this game mode, and it basically says that rare loot containers like llamas and supply drops give out the most points. Now that kind of adds to the things that I was just saying, because that kind of makes it like really RNG based. I guess you could say kind of that the airdrops aren't exactly RNG based, because you're able to see them and actually run to them before like other people. So again, I'm just not really sure what to expect from this one. So it might be one that we just, wait and see about. Maybe it will be fun, maybe it'll be a complete bust. But yeah, be sure to comment your ideas on that one. I'd be curious to see what you guys have to think. But moving on to another one here, let's talk about one that definitely does sound like a ton of fun, and we're going back to an idea here for this one. This one isn't leaked, but it's such a cool idea, I just had to include it into this video. And if anybody at Epic is watching this, guys, include this in the game. It's such a cool idea. But basically this one is credit to Jacob Bagant and FL Citizen. They kind of had similar ideas, but I put them together here. But basically it is called the Lights Out game mode. Now what exactly does that mean? Well, it's basically very similar to the original mode, except the map itself is almost always dark, and even more dark than it gets at the nighttime in the current version of the map. map. So it wouldn't quite be like pitch black, but it would be super dark. You can't really make things out in the distance, but you can maybe like see things move just barely. And in fact, the only light sources on the map would be like if you go into a town like Tilted Towers, the street lamps would light things up, maybe like inside of the buildings it's lit up, and then in towns like Retail Row, those are lit up as well. So they're kind of like safe spots that you kind of want to like run towards and take over, maybe make your base in there when the circle's closing in. But then on the other hand, the other light sources would be when people are firing guns. So if you see somebody like fighting in the distance, you only see like their muzzle flashes and you know that somebody's over there because the light sticks out like a sore thumb. But on top of that, it would be pretty cool because it would be kind of scary not really being able to know where people are unless you are in those like safe cities where there's a light. And then along with that, one of the ideas that was posted is that you have like either a flashlight, maybe a helmet that has a light on it that you can click a button and it turns it on or off. That would be super cool as well because if you need to see, you could turn it on, but at the same time that would kind of put you at a disadvantage because other people would be able to see exactly where you are from quite a bit of distance. So that would make for some really cool like tactics of whether or not you want to turn it off and run safely through the dark, but then you might risk running into people that have their lights off as well, or you could turn on your light and know like where people are in front of you. But either way, that game mode sounds like a ton of fun. But let's move on again here and get into another leaked game mode, or technically two leaked game modes, and I say that because they're both like super similar. Like honestly, they sound exactly the same, so I don't know why they're technically showing up as two in the files. But credit to these goes to the Fortnite Reddit account. They're another awesome source for leaked info that I'll link, but big thanks to them. And the first game mode is Tactics Showdown. So the description that they found in the files for this one is that this mode encourages tactical combat in building by putting a cap on the amount of resources and ammunition that players can carry. Player-built structures also start off with less health than normal, and when players are eliminated, they will drop fewer resources than normal. So yeah, basically you don't get a ton of anything in the game. You have to be very careful with what you use. It sounds like you're barely ever going to be able to build, and that when you get ammo, you really need to make your shots count, which is a little bit weird with Bloom because obviously your shots, you can't really 100% make sure that your shots hit all the time. So that is definitely really weird, but it's also weird because it sounds very similar to this second technically leaked game mode, which instead is called Ground Game and has the description in Ground Game, the focus is on fighting smart. Spray and pray and build spamming isn't an option here. Fewer building materials can be carried and max ammo count is limited, so use the natural cover that the map provides and make every shot count, which again sounds very similar to the first game mode we just talked about. So yeah guys, are these basically the same game mode and basically being a limited time mode without really much building in it? So basically again, like it says, you have to use the natural cover of the map to your advantage. But yeah, one idea came from NS User Defaults, and he said that maybe Tactics Showdown is like the competitive like limited time mode like they've done in the past with other showdown modes where they've had like rewards for it, and then Ground Game is just, you know, the limited time mode for anybody that just wants to play it for fun. And now that I'm thinking about it, that definitely does make sense. So I'll try it out, maybe it'll be fun, but come on, you gotta love building. But moving on again here, let's talk about one that is my personal favorite of this video, and credit to this one goes to a ton of people. I've seen it suggested so many times, I'm not sure who the original person to come up with it was, but basically it is called The Floor is Lava. So very similar to that game you sometimes play where you jump around furniture and you try to imagine the floor is lava, but instead you would have the storm not converge from the outside in, you would have it rise upwards from the bottom lowest portion of the map. It would keep rising up, forcing you to get to the higher points on the map and build upwards higher. Now along with that, you would also probably have to have like a build limit increase, maybe things that you break drop more resources for building so that you can get into those sky bases and stuff and avoid the storm like that. But either way, I think this could lead to some crazy fun like tactics and battles, because a lot of the time you would need to build into the air and make sky bases, so like fighting other people in their sky bases, that would honestly be so much fun. So I'm really hoping that somebody from Epic is listening to this, implement this in the game. I think it could be a really cool addition. But other than that, they would maybe have to, you know, nerf like the mountains or something. Then again, there's not a ton of loot on the mountain, so you could like risk getting loot down below in a lower part and then build up to the mountain and sit up there and people would like probably come to you. I think that could be really cool. There's a lot of fun things that could come out of this game mode, and it's not even that hard to implement. You just switch the way that the storm works and the rest does itself. But yeah, that one definitely sounds cool. But let's move on to one other one that I think sounds like a ton of fun, and basically it's called Mini, and I kind of came up with this myself, and I think some others might have come up with the idea as well. But basically it would be like a mini version of the game that we have right now. So instead of playing with 100 players, maybe you play with 10 at each time, and instead of the normal map, maybe you play on Spawn Island or something like that. Maybe a custom island that's, you know, a tenth of the normal sizes of the map. But that would honestly be a lot of fun because it would lead to some really short games. It would lead to some different tactics, and I don't know, know, just having a mini map sounds like a ton of fun. I've wanted to have a battle on like Spawn Island, and I know Playground is kind of similar, lets you play on like, I think the Spawn Island, again, it's not launched as I'm recording this video, but either way, fighting on like a smaller arena type area would be super cool, and it would probably limit like the loot you can find on the map. Maybe there's only like a couple buildings next to each other. Also, the resources would be a bit more limited. Obviously, you can't have like a ton of trees on the small island, but I don't know. Either way, I think it would play out really cool, and this also wouldn't be that hard to implement. I mean, it'd basically be like Playground, but you know, drop 10 players and have them fight it out. But other than that, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click that button in the center or below the video if you want to see more of these coming up in the future, or you can check out some of my previous videos, such as on the left, going through 4 exclusive skins, with one being $300, and then on the right, the week 8 challenges guide. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.